Hello everyone, today we will be looking at the Bishop versus Knight endgame. This is the Endgame series, a series in which I explain all the endgames in increasing difficulty. Also, according to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always unsubscribe. Enjoy the video. First of all, you need to understand that the bishop is a long-range piece. He works very well in open positions. But there is one big downside. He has only 32 squares at his disposal. He can only control 50% of the board. That's why the bishop pair is so effective. They have the advantage of having a very long range as well as being able to control the whole board. Instead, the knight has a very short range. He has only 8 squares to go to. But he has the advantage of being able to jump over things as well as to control every single square on the board. You can try it for yourself and you will see that you can go to every single square on the board. This is the first exercise for you. It's a white to move and win the game. If you want, you can pause the video right now. If you saw that the knight has only 4 squares to go to, you did a great job. The black knight is on the rim of the board and we have to make use of that. We do this by playing the move bishop to d5 and the black knight has no moves to play. King to f8, we activate the king and we threaten to take the pawn on f7. We take the pawn on f7 and after king to f8 we are precise and we play the bishop back to d5. We don't want to give black any opportunity to activate his knight. In the next few moves we will be able to promote. If you want to be really precise, you can always play the move king to e6 with the plan of going bishop to e4 and bishop to g6, which is going to be a very nice mate in 2. This is a second exercise for you. It's bishop versus knight and white has an extra pawn. But his bishop looks a little bit passive. Try to come up with some concrete moves for both sides and afterwards make a conclusion. Is white better, black better, or is it just a draw? It's white to move. And you can pause the video right now. Okay, so as I told you, the bishop is pretty passive since it's on the same color as the pawns. Knights love squares. In this position, the outpost squares are e4 and g4. These squares are protected by pawns and so there is no way to attack the knight, since the white bishop is on a dark square, not a white square. Black's strategy will be to come and jump on these squares. And at the same time, both sides will try and activate the king. White puts his king here on g1. We go ahead and we place our knight on f6. This is a pretty nice square and from here we can still decide where we want to go. White places his king on f1 and we go to g7. We activate the king with black. Let's say white goes to e2. The king has lost protection of the h2 square since he went away from that square. We can attack it with our knight and the white bishop is doomed to retreat to g1 and protect this pawn. Now we will try to activate our king with black. So we play the move king to f6. White plays king to d2. We play king to e7 and white plays the move king to c3. We go to d6. The white king goes to b4 and he tries to stop our king from coming in. And we go to c6. And it looks like white can just shuffle around on these squares and we will never be able to come in with the king. If white goes for a plan like this, we can remaneuver our knight to the f3 square, attacking the bishop and the pawn at the same time. Knight to f6, king to b4, knight to e4, king to a4, and now knight to d2. The king goes back to b4 and we play the move knight to f3. As you can see, we are attacking the bishop and the pawn at the same time. And so if white doesn't want to lose a piece, he has to play the move bishop to f2. And now we can take the pawn on h2. On the next move we can just retreat our knight and push this pawn up to the h1 square and queen. You might ask, well, why can't white just defend this d2 square from where the black knight can infiltrate in the white camp? Well, let's say white plays the move king to c3. In this position we can come in with the king. We play the move king to b5. White wants to stop the king from coming in, and so he plays the move king to b3, controlling all of these squares. With black we start rerouting the knight. We play the move knight to f6, king to c3, knight to e4 check. White can't play something like king to b3 because then we can come in white's camp, as we've seen before. White should play the move king to c2. We play king to b4. And this is really painful for white because his king is pushed further and further in his own camp. He plays the move king to d3. We go and play the move king to b3. The white king has to go to e2 and we go to c2. He goes to e1 and we play the move king to d3. White has to play the move king to f1. And now we play the move king to d2. And now the white king has nowhere else to go. These squares are taken by the king, this one by the knight, and this one by the pawn. White has only one move left, which is bishop to f2. We can make use of the fact that the bishop is not protecting the h2 pawn anymore. So we remaneuver our knight to g4. We play knight to f6. White puts his bishop back on g1. We play knight to g4, and this position is really sad for white. Bishop to f2, we take the pawn on h2. The white king goes to g1, we put our knight back to f3. The king has to go to h1. And look at this, the pawn controls the g2 square and the knight controls the h2 and the g1 square. King to e2, white puts his bishop back to g1. And the easiest way to win this position would be to just take the bishop and go for all of white's pawns and promote our own. As you could see from this example, material doesn't always matter if you have the more active piece. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!